Well, hello, young and the restless daily recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Wednesday, May the 24th, 2023. Wednesday, May the 24th. Another filler episode, but you know what? I'm only here to report the news. So, look, let's get it started. Oh, wow. Nate just pops up on Audra's hotel room. Audra opens the door, looks at him, and says, well, I would have preferred to do this at the office. And Nate walks in, too many prying ears, and this is just for you to hear. So Audra has to listen to Nate go on and on about Elena going off on him and Victoria in her office. And she goes, yeah, I saw Elena at society. She was going off. And he goes, so you pointed her our way? Audra looked at him and said, Elena does what she wants to do. And how would I know you'd be in Victoria's office? And then she kind of looked like, although that's where you always are. So they end up talking and instantly, and mind you, this is early in the workday. She instantly pours him a drink, right? Nice little stiff one. That brown alcohol, it's always hard, right? Not no lightweight tequila, some brown stuff. And he takes it and there's talking and everything. And now they're going over the plan. And he goes, yeah, Nick went off on him too. And Devon, blah, blah, but Nick feels I'm gunning for his job. And Audra's like, oh, wow. He goes, and Victoria told me about it. And I said, absolutely. I wouldn't mind it. In time, I'd love to work my way up the corporate ladder. And Audra's like, well, I actually told Victoria at some point I would, that as you moved up or possibly on, because your talents will be appreciated by so many companies, that I wanted Newman Media. And he looked at her, he goes, she told me. And she looked at Nate. He goes, but from now on, no more going rogue with whatever your plans are. We're a team. And so she goes, oh, okay. So they're talking, sitting down. And he goes, yeah, she told me that Nick is upset or jealous. He feels I'm gunning for his job. And I told him, yeah, I already said that part. Yeah, in the future. And she goes, and Victoria didn't seem to mind that at all. She likes my ambition. And so he goes, so he's like Nick or Nikki's job. And he told Audra, he goes, so here's the plan. I'm going to continue to be close to Victoria, stay close to Victoria, and work my way up. And in time, Victoria will appoint me. And he said something about, I this, I that. And Audra says, for somebody that just said, we're a team, you're using an awful lot of I's. Because see, what Tucker said is in Audra's brain. And they said something about, if you don't know whatever, then perhaps you need to move on or look elsewhere. He was some kind of stupid metaphor, but Audra is really kind of looking at that. Nate doesn't know. Audra believes in gathering evidence, okay? And using it all to her advantage. And she sat back and he goes, oh, we're going after McCall's media division. Actually, McCall itself. And she goes, ooh, well, that's where I come in. She says, I'm your ace in the hole. I know McCall inside and out. And he goes, okay, that's going to be good. Good to know. It's going to be good. And then she's like, excuse me. She's like, we're going to crush them. And Nate said, that's the plan. So they're just, in their smugness, just reveling in their plan. And I thought, Nate is just turning into one of the most disliked people. I can't stand Nate. So then we have Victoria running into Adam at society. And he's sitting down. She walks over to him just to needle him. Oh, our father told me you plan on coming after Newman. And she goes, huh, bring it, because there is no competition. And he goes, no, he says, Victoria, look. She goes, McCall is a failing company, and it's got you, failure, over a failing company. I don't know why our father would waste his money on you. And Adam says, oh, look, it's not a waste. That's why initially you wanted McCall. Oh, McCall has its advantages. And I plan on definitely coming after Newman Media. So she says something snide and walks away to order her food and wait for her food. So he gets up and he comes over to her. And he said, Victoria, he said, you forget, I know Newman Media inside and out. I built it. Which he did. He and Victor built that company from the ground up. He said, I built it. So I know exactly what to do. And he looks at it and he smiles. And he goes, and the thing is, you're worried. You're scared. Because I can do it. She goes, no, you are just a bump in the road to get over. Not even a challenge, a bump. And he just looked at her. He goes, oh, really? He goes, okay, let the games begin. Now, see, one of the things Victoria said to Victor about Nicholas does not have the killer instinct in business at all. But you want to know something? Adam is better at killer business than Victoria ever is. Adam is truly a chip off of Victor's block. Truly. So he will actually put a hurting on Newman. And Adam doesn't mind using underhanded tactics. See, Victoria's just kind of slid into that to where she'll be underhanded and ruthless. Adam has been that for years. For years. Okay? So I'm looking forward to Adam just rubbing her face in defeat. That's what I'm looking forward to. So now we have the typical at the Abbott house, I'm getting so sick of Ashley telling Jack the same thing. Jack telling Ashley the same thing. Diane comes in trying to say, hey, this has got to stop, like she's a peacemaker. Tucker's just watching the whole thing, enjoying it, right? So Ashley finally decides to tell Jack, because he goes, you and Tucker, because she told Diane, move to the pool house, Jack, you could go with her. And he's like, no, you are the one, something about, I forget what he said. Tucker, you just moved your guests in. Diane is my fiance. And Ashley goes, Tucker and I are engaged, Jack. Jack looks, and Diane is like, oh, this is a new revelation. She kind of smirks at it, like, oh, okay, you using that, girl? You using that? And so she goes, yes, Tucker has changed. He's learned. I'm seeing him mature and grow. I've seen it, because this is all the stuff Jack, she almost repeated everything Jack said about Diane. He says, and you want to know the difference? Tucker has never faked his death. Diane's like, oh, yeah, I sure have. And Tucker's not on trial for murder. So then Diane says something, and Ashley wants to lunge at her. And Tucker goes, no, come on, let's go. So he takes Ashley on out, and they go to the park. And Tucker is trying to find out, did she really mean it? Because Tucker really wants her back. For now, let's be real, Tucker's bored. He don't have nothing to do. He would marry Ashley and be happy for this long because she got a job and he don't. He would have to find something to do, which will take him out of town, realistically. So anyway, she doesn't answer because she told Jack, I love him. And he kind of like, what, huh? The L word? Ooh. So at the park, he said, you said you loved me. Was that just for effect, to get under Jack's skin? Can you look me right in the eye right now, Ashley, and tell me you love me? And she's just looking at him. And I'm thinking, okay, Ashley, you're going to have to say something tomorrow. You're going to have to say something tomorrow. So now we have broken record, pouting Summer. Although she and Kyle are trying to figure out what Harrison's going to do for the summer. And they finally come up on half-day summer camp. And she apologizes for being distant. She apologizes for when she thought her mother was dead. You know, she's grieving. Goes, and now that I found out my mother's alive, you know, I'm still distant. I'm still, you know, I'm still trying to process this, Kyle. This is very, very difficult for me. And he goes, I know, Summer, but you're completely shutting me out. And she's like, well, you know, I'm gonna try and do better. But my main worry is getting my mother back and making sure she doesn't spend the rest of her life in jail. So Kyle, you know, I think Summer still has her hands on his. And he's like, and Summer, I'm going to help you with that. And I thought, no, you're not. No, you're not at all. Look, Summer's going to, Phyllis will come back and get arrested. You all would plan a huge gala engagement party celebrating Jack and Diane, and Summer would, Phyllis would be facing however long her sentence is going to be. You would not in the least be sensitive or worried about Summer, not in the least. You're saying that now because it sounds good now and because you want Phyllis back. That's exactly why he said it. He did not mean that at all. So we have Kyle has to get up to go answer a work question, and then Daniel comes and sits down, and Kyle comes back to Daniel, and Summer sniping at him, and he, for the life of me, can't figure out, look, why. And she's still just saying, well, I still can't believe, you know, my mother went to him first. Okay, which is what Daniel said, don't tell her because she's gonna have a problem. So that kind of still fits in. It's just Kyle's not understanding it. So when Kyle comes back from his phone call, actually he comes back with Lucy. So Daniel and Summer aren't sniping that much at each other. He goes, look who I found. And Lucy's such a caring young lady. Heather did an excellent job with Lucy. She says, you know, she ran into Uncle Kyle. And so she looks at Daniel and he goes, it's okay. And she looked at Kyle and said, I am so sorry for what Phyllis and Stark did to your mom, falsely accusing her. And Summer, her eyes get big and she looks at Daniel, and Daniel's like, yeah, like I sure did tell her. And Summer's like, and he goes, and so she gives an apology and blah, blah, blah. And Kyle says, you know what? Thank you for your kind words, you know. And she goes, look, now don't get me wrong. I miss Phyllis and I want Phyllis back, but I what she did. So Daniel's like, don't you have a nail spa appointment? You're going to be late. So she goes, okay. And she goes, why don't you have your Uncle Kyle show you where it's at? She's like, Dad, there's signs all throughout the lobby, you know. And Kyle says, look, I want to spend some time with my niece and I want to hear about Portugal. So he walks her over there. And when he comes back is when he sees Summer sniping at Daniel for telling her. Daniel's like, I am not about to continue the lie with my daughter. Not about to. So she goes, yeah, but it's your truth. And he goes, the truth. You telling everybody. He goes, I only didn't tell everybody. Need to know, folks. And she goes, but it's preventing mom from coming back. Now she'll never, she won't even return my phone calls. I'm trying to call her and it's all your fault. And then, that's when Kyle's coming up like, wait, what? But he didn't hear that from Summer. So Daniel's like, well, you know what? It's time for me to go. I got to go to work. We'll talk again soon, Summer. And Summer just like, so Kyle is like, well, Summer, he's trying to say some words to her. And she's like, well, Kyle, look, I don't want to talk about this anymore. He goes, well, let's go to work. She goes, and then her phone rings. She picks it up and she goes, look, I got to take this. And he goes, Summer, we're in the middle of a very important conversation. I have got to take this college work. So she steps away. Hello. I don't know what department head you're going to answer your phone like that. All desperate. And Kyle's just looking at her and he goes, and then the caller hung up. And Summer's like, oh, I'm surprised Kyle didn't say, what department was that? Because I'm headed back to the office. I'll give that department head a piece of my mind. See, it's supposed to be work, right? Or what problem? Did a deal fall through, Summer? What? I would have had her talk about work. But Kyle just looked at her when she said, no, answered the phone. He goes, I gotta go. And she just looked at him as he walked out like, So she's standing there and she gets a text. Meet me in an hour, location to be determined. See? TBD. I learned that. I figured that one out. Although I thought it would have been TBA, to be announced, right? But it was TBD, to be determined. so, so she's like, Mom, this better be you. And I thought, you want to know who I hope it is? I hope it's Chance. I hope Chance is using a burner phone. And I hope Chance said that. So she would show up. In other words, you're showing up to unknown callers. But see, in her defense, you want to know what she should say if she's quick on her feet and if it's Chance. Summer would say, my brother Daniel said he got a text from an unknown texter, and it was Mom. I was hoping and praying this would be my mom so I could see her. That's the answer to give. That would get her off the hook. Chance couldn't say nothing because that would be the logical answer, Summer. But don't look stupid like you met her before, right? So anyway, that's it. That's it for today's episode of The Young and the Restless. Let's go to Comment Corner. We have Lisa. Lisa says, remember Kyle said he, Summer, and Harrison were moving out to the gate or pool house due to the tension in the house. Yep. Sheila says, Nick stowed away on the plane because Sharon had been kidnapped by a former, now current stalker. Okay. I still don't remember that story, and I don't know what was happening in my life at that time. Sheila says the difference between Nick and Sally is that Nate and Sally is Sally wanted to work her way to the top without the backing of Nick or Adam. She wanted to be independent so that her position could never be threatened by any Newman. And then Sheila says, I don't think Nicholas wouldn't even care if Victoria fired him. He would probably just let Nate do his bidding because Victoria would need to suffer the consequences of her arrogance. Nick has enough money to have his own business or maybe even decide to link up with Adam. That would be interesting. Nope, Nick can't stand Adam enough and he's in too much competition with Adam. To have Adam, his younger brother, calling the shots and in charge. Scott says, Nick's the biggest hypocrite on the show. I cannot stand Nicholas. I am with you, Scott. I can't stand him. Mm-mm. Now my daughter, I'm hearing is still reeling, still upset, which she would be, because Nicholas don't know Phyllis is alive. He would know his daughter Summer is still grieving her mother. And how much have you seen Nicholas go visit Summer, be there for Summer? Hey, Summer who? Summer who? Right? So anyway, that's it for The Young and the Restless today. I'll be back for another daily recap of The Young and the Restless.